Welcome back. All right. Okay, so what are we going to do today? Those of you who are logged into Canvas, this is your class. Those of you who aren't, try and remember the stuff we're doing or do something else that's more useful. Um, like I said, I will spend time. I will spend time. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, answering any additional questions. And if you just didn't have a chance to get into the system today, I'll help you out. All right. So let's go. All right. I'm going to just open up my Canvas. Okay, so you're in your Canvas class. Some of you were given access to your predecessor's Canvas class. Now, a lot of times because that has been archived, it doesn't actually show up in your list. You might have gotten an email saying, "Hey, here's the link to your Canvas thing." And I think Jesus, you've said it worked when you went through the link. You were able to get into it, but it still never like actually showed up in your tile. It might be because they stuck you in as a designer and not a teacher, which you still have the same credentials, but maybe it doesn't show up in your tile because you're actually not a teacher of it. You're just a designer. I don't know. But here's what happens. All the teachers freak out at the end of the year because their class goes away, and they come back and they're like, "My class is gone. Where is it?" And it's because it is shown, instead of when you click on your dashboard, it doesn't show up as a tile. You have to click on this one underneath that says courses, and it says all courses. You click on that, and then you can see like all my courses. So like over the last few years, all my courses, they're actually still there in Canvas, right? And so potentially go do that. Go click on all courses, your course button, little tab, and then click on all courses. And tell me, does another class show up there from last year? All right. Oh, so you're not even actually in the one. Yeah. All right. Oh, that's there too. Okay, if you scroll down now, there's only one up. All right. So yeah, Nick. So we still have a few teachers who like it doesn't show up at all. You have one should have before. Yeah. Yeah. So that whole class is there. No, it's going to be your class. This is your class that you're doing now, and they would need to add you to the other class or to actually show up. But it wouldn't actually show up here yet. It would actually show up in courses. And then it would see all courses. And then it would be like, pop up. Okay, so we'll still figure that out. So here's the all right. Well, let's do something that we can actually do. So let's talk a little bit about commons and where you can actually get a bunch of additional information. All right. So if you come back in your tabs over here, there's this little C with an arrow on it for commons. You can click on that commons, and now you get into basically this search space where this is all the stuff that people have been putting out there, right? And so you might go, I don't know. medical, right? So you just search medical, and then there's like a whole bunch of things, and you're like, oh, this is kind of interesting. Maybe, um, forensic anthropology, right? That might be kind of interesting. And it looks like this is just a page. So they've created just one page. It just might be some informational stuff, but it might actually link you to a whole other course. Here's a bunch of documents. Here's some assignments. Here's a quiz. Here's a module, medical transcription. So this is like a whole module on medical transcription, medical terminology. It's a quiz. So if we look at like this one, medical transcription, it'll kind of go through and tell you. And look, it's got a whole bunch of quizzes and assignments for that. So if you go search for a topic that you're teaching, you may find a lot of stuff out there that's like, oh, that's really good, right? Yeah. So here's the thing: they have put them out to Commons. The teachers have put them out to the world. Now they do sometimes set up like different licensing schemes to it. So sometimes you load something and then all of a sudden it's linking to a textbook that like you don't have subscribed to, and like I can't use it, right? So sometimes they have resources that you still might have to buy from some McGraw-Hill or whatever, but most of the time it's material that's like it's usable, right? Quizzes, things like that. And the kinds of licenses that are out there, typically, I put all my stuff out as Creative Commons, no commercial, which means you can use it, you can modify it, you can play with it, just don't wrap a paywall around it, right? And you should keep if they've got a brand or logo or whatever, you should kind of keep that stuff in there, right? Just to make sure you're crediting them. But I've reached out to teachers too and said, hey, this is really cool. Have you looked at, do you have anything like this? And I've actually gotten like exactly the thing that I wanted rather than the kind of the thing that I wanted, because they're like, oh yeah, I got that. And they're happy to share it. So now I've got this, I've got a thing that I might want to go look at. Let me do this dashboard. I'm going to do open dashboard, a new tab. So then I have like two tabs here open. All right. So one of the things you've got, maybe not. Some of you don't have a sandbox either. But let's go create a temporary sandbox kind of class so you can just like suck stuff into that and you're not messing up your real class. And then you can decide what you like, and then you can copy it, move it from one class to the other class. So let's go create a class. All right. You're going to come up to the top here. You're in your dashboard. You're going to say start new course. And if you get stuck or stop, just stop me, right? I don't want you to be like, I'll figure this out later. Like, let's make sure we figure it out right now, right? So you click on, let me show you again. Click on start new course. And I'm just going to call this Mech Sandbox. 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 And I think you can give it like another name. I'm just going to give it the same name. All right. So I'm going to create this course. Why is this not creating? Oh, yeah, sorry. That first one's not a title. It's a selection. And so you select SVCTE. So you're going to select the what the course is going to be associated with, and then you're going to give it a name. Next Sandbox. Does that make sense? Sorry. So you've got to pull down here where you can pick, and one of them is SVCTE. Are you doing this on your personal account, or are you doing it on SVCT account? Oh, but it still lets you create a tab. Okay, fine. I'm always like that just super bugs me when it's like, wait, no, they set this up. Are they not setting it up the same for everyone? What is happening here? But anyway, so you don't have a Dropbox? It just okay. That's fine. Well, so you click create, and now you've got a class. And I wouldn't worry about doing much with this class right now. But if we go back to our dashboard, now we've got an unpublished MEC sandbox. And you could just leave it unpublished because you're just going to use this to like suck stuff into it from either Commons or from archives or other stuff. And then you're going to use it as kind of an organizational space, right? Now, let me go show you what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to go publish something to Commons, right? So I'm going to go to my personal account, go to my dashboard, go to my Canvas teacher new thing. And let me show you what I threw into here. I threw in some housekeeping stuff. I've got a page that's kind of like I don't know quite how I'm going to use this, but what my plan is that when I create a module or class, I'm going to have a page, introductory page for that module. And in there, I'm going to actually put kind of the links to the assignments and things, kind of in the order that I'm going to be teaching it. I'm going to put all the links in there. And the reason why this is valuable is because you're also probably going to want to use assignments. Is there not assignment? No, not assignments. Announcements. And in the announcements, you can create an announcement. And we're going to go over this all. I'm just showing you what I've got in this thing. But like I create an announcement for each day. It's like this is the first day of school, right? And my first day is they're going to come in and there's going to be a whole bunch of trade magazines spread out all across all the different tables. I'm going to just have them find a place to sit down. They're going to pick an article. They're going to get a piece of scratch paper, engineering notebook paper. They're going to grab one of my free pens, and they're going to sit and read an article. They're just going to pick something interesting, right? And a lot of these things are like robots, and they'll just start reading an article about whatever, right? And that should give me some time to like kind of get things going, but they have something to do when they come in. So that's the first thing, right? Their entry ticket. And then I say, okay, today's lecture and lab, and then we're going to have a thing, who am I and what's the class, and some stuff about setup, how to access technology, my little name tag thing, and they're going to all get a bin, right? And we're going to do that the first day or second day, right? Well, I've created this announcement. I've pre-created this, and I've set it up so that it is. If I edit it, if it's set up so that it's actually in the future, right? I've got this to say it's going to automatically post January 7th, 2092. Bonus points if you can figure out like why I picked that date. Hint, it's somebody's birthday. But so now I can create all my announcements. I can create all my announcements, pre-create them in my personal account in that module or in that class. I can create all the announcements, day 1, day 2, day 3, just the whole thing. I can create all those. And so as you're doing stuff this year and you do announcements, you'll have a whole set of announcements. And later at the end of the year, we'll have another little session here. We'll talk about stuff like how are you going to make sure you save all that stuff? You can have all that stuff ready, all those announcements that you used, so that next year when you go, I can't remember what I did for the first 3 days of school, like, bam, there are your announcements, and they're ready to go, right? So, all right, so I got a bunch of stuff in here. What else do I have in here? I've been successful assigning to Canvas, 100 points, right? Yay. And all it is yes, I have. Answer yes, right? But it lets you see in Canvas that they actually were able to click that, yes, I have been successful, so you know they're actually in there. What else did I throw in here? I threw in some icebreakers. You might look at them as an example and try your own. This is how I do my name tags, but I do a thing where they tell me their superhero power, but they have to do like explain it by physics, like how it actually works, it's not magic. And then later they have to like pair up with other people and tell me how they're going to defeat the other person's superpower with physics, right? But like, come up with some stuff that you're going to do the first couple days. Then I have some things where I'm going to put in like technical skills, like I can take a screenshot. Like, how do you take a screenshot with a Chromebook? It's like maybe some of your students don't have an idea how to do any of that stuff. You may not know how to do any of that stuff, right? But it'd be really valuable for you to be able to say, hey, do this thing. And when you get done with this little, 20-minute thing, it's going to have a little certificate at the end. Take a screenshot of that, turn that in, right? So you prove that you actually did the thing that you were doing. What else? I have one. I put in just an example here of my weekly kind of, what did you do this week? Are you getting this? Do you understand what's going on? Tell me in 25 words, like what was the most interesting thing you learned this week, kind of thing. And then also for their being able to communicate with me. So I have a couple of things. I've got to think, hey, send me an email to prove that they can actually send me an email. If you have a text phone number, there's different apps that have text phone numbers you can use. I have a Google text number that I've provided them. It's like just prove that you can actually do this, right? So I have a couple of those assignments are in here. Then I have a bunch of modules which you can just delete if you want, but they have the rest of these things in there. I do another one which is an engineering notebook, and I have a little presentation and stuff about engineering notebook. You might incorporate that differently in your classroom, but if you want to have a Google Doc where they write stuff in and you're like teaching something, you say, hey, take some notes on this in your notebook, your medical assisting notebook, whatever. It's like, it's just a Google Doc, right? And then I just basically have an assignment here that I can then basically assign, and I can tell them that week, hey, I'm checking for these 3 things, and I'm going to check them, right? And so then I've pre-created some assignments. I do a thing in my classroom, and it would be awesome if you guys did the same thing. Every Wednesday, the entry ticket for like 20 minutes, I have a bookshelf of autobiographies of engineers and scientists and famous engineering people. I have books on physics, books on on quantum physics, whatever, right? I've got books on like the explaining like, okay, the movie Martian, like how does it really work, and go through the technology. A bunch of stuff, a bunch of sci-fi books, things. But I've created a library where I just let the students go, and it's like, go read something. If they pick something off of my shelf, they're actually learning something, but I just let them kind of relax into an assignment. So that's what that is, and I call it Love of Reading. And so if you want to talk to me about that later, how I do that. Anyway, so this is a whole like class here that I've got, and I'm going to go now publish this to Commons. All right. So how do I do this? I come in here. Nope. Maybe it's in settings. Yeah. So if you want to share something to Commons, you go into settings, and there's a share to Commons button right there. And so I'm going to share this to Commons. I come up here. It's not previously shown. if you share stuff and then keep sharing it, like it'll overwrite in a way that then other teachers can pull it out, and it'll only change the things that are different, and it'll let people know if they've favorited your stuff. It'll let people know. But all right, so blah blah blah. You can say, hey, what's the copyright on this? And I'm saying this is Creative Commons attribution, no commercial, share alike. So you get to do whatever they want with it. This is my canvas, and I can say it's a canvas template. I can put a tag on it, and I always put Steam Clown. That's me. And then I'll put like, we'll leave it at that. And then they force you to do an image. And it's like, seriously, I just, right? So why not this one? And then you can say what grade level. I'll say, boom. And now I go share. All right, so that just got pushed out to Canvas, right? And it'll take a second, so we'll give it a minute to show up out there. While we're giving it a second to show up, let's see what else I want to show you here. We'll go back to our dashboard. Yeah, again, this is, I think I'm going overboard maybe, but like I create, this is my, orientation stuff. This is my career, professional development stuff. This is just a career, I put it in career readiness, but it's research and writing. And I'll have students read articles or something. And I just put those into Canvas, right? So there's a STEM magazine that I have access to. And so I've just created assignments for each one of those STEM magazines. And one of those assignments is go access this magazine and pick an article, one of the 5 articles, and write something up about it. Then I also basically have created just a bunch of stuff where I've gone and taken articles off the internet and linked to them. So for example, this is how to defeat locust using technology, right? So this article is all about in East Africa, 2020. There's a giant thing of locusts going everywhere, and like seriously, billions of them. And so I want them to read this article, but then really what I want them to talk about is not summarize the article, but like talk about, all right, so this is a problem, how do we fix it, right? So it's basically reading and then, some thinking. And most of the time when I have them do a writing assignment for me, it's more about how does this work in your life? Is this technology good or bad? How is it going to affect your family, your community, the world? And so there's not really right answers. I don't typically have questions like, multiple choice questions coming out of the article. I don't do a lot of that kind of stuff. And mostly it's really like their thought process. And I do have a template. If you want to talk to me later on this, my philosophy on pulling stuff off the internet and using it with the idea that it's for educational use and being able to a fair use, a license on that kind of stuff, I'll show you what I do. All right, so now let's go see if this thing popped up. So we're going to come back to our class. I've got my little sandbox here. I'm going to go back into my little sandbox, and I'm going to go to Commons. And I'm going to search for Steam Clown. And sure enough, here's it. Oh, no, that's not it. Let's see, most latest. show up? Where did it show up? All right. So this is an old one. This is an old one. This is not the one I want. I know. Well, Steam Clown, and they had to pick a clown. So, um, all right. All right, we're revisiting this because it's just taking a little while for Commons to like pick that stuff up. So, yeah. All right, let's go. Let's go chat about some other stuff then. All right, what else do I want to learn about today? What do you want to learn about today? How about creating a homepage for your Canvas class? We kind of did. Um, yeah, and there'll be an example of that in my thing. All right. Set up your grading groups. Let's do that. Okay, so go back to your template. Go back to your actual class. I've published my class, so this is my class for this year. If you've got the two classes, the period 1 and period 5, just go into the period 1 one. Go in there. All right. So here at the school, we actually grade on. We do a third of our grading should end up in like technical skills. A third of your grading shows up in like professional career development skills, like how to work in the real world. And then a third of it is like academic stuff. And my opinion is it's a little bit kludgy because now you have to think about like as you're making your assignments, like, okay, where does this go? And you have to make sure that like you have about the same amount of points in each one of those, because otherwise it like skews it. Because like if you have 2 assignments in your technology one and 40 assignments in all the other ones, those 2 assignments are like worth a third of your grade. And so you as a teacher kind of have to like manage that. But just be aware of that. Because you just, when you're creating an assignment, you think, okay, is this an academic assignment, or is this a getting to work on time assignment, or is this like really technology of like really the nuts and bolts of this industry, right? And just make sure you kind of weight them out that way. But we actually have to set it up so that those assignments actually get into those groups, all right? So you're going to come down to, I think, grades. I can never remember. So potentially they've already set them up, right? And I'm going to definitely change this. This. All right, they've made these 33, 33, 33, 34 in academic. All right, so those are already set up. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that's going to happen to you. As you import stuff from the other class, or you import stuff from Canvas, from Commons, or you import something from somewhere else, they are not going to land in these groups, all right? And so you're going to have to make sure that they land in those groups, because you can assign them, and the students have to do them, but they'll be in an unassigned point. It won't be counting towards their grade, all right? And so let me show you how this might show up. But yeah, it's already set up, so we don't have to figure that out. I do have a video on how to actually do it. So if something comes up, You can do that. All right, so let me go back to. We go back to my class here, and let's say that I'm going to have a quiz. So let's go. Let's go create a quiz. Um, and when I do assignments, sometimes I'll do. Okay, so here's the things you can do assignments with. You can make things that have points assigned to them. You can make something an assignment, and typically that's like you can't have like a whole bunch of questions. There's just basically a, a, a text box to write stuff into for assignments, and sometimes that's all you want. That's all you're going to do. I tend to make all of my stuff be quizzes so that I can always have the option of making a having a multiple choice question in there, or different things like that. And so I tend to just do everything as quizzes, but you can do quizzes, you can do assignments, you can do discussions, and those are all things that can be set up to be graded. All right. So if we come in and we do a quiz, there are no quizzes here. So let's go make a quiz. Right. Well, you click on quizzes. Oh, this is new. 2 quiz engines. Please choose which you'd like, classic or new. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Question type, like hotspot. I, I don't know. I don't know the answer to this. I don't know if they'll let you change it either. Once you, yeah, we just go classic. Why not? I think I probably made a terrible decision, and now my course is stuck that way. All right, so we've got a quiz, right? And it's an unnamed quiz. And I always name my quizzes, and we'll talk about why that's important, because you can actually put all your quizzes in a quiz bank, and then you can use them from class to class and module to module, and pull them out, be used. But let's say this is just a generic one, like sign up. Sign up. We're going to call it sign up, and this is uh, please sign up for this site. And then I would put in, some link to, I don't know, Udemy. Udemy. Udemy is a site that has lots of little classes. They're usually about 1 to 2 hours worth of material. A lot of it's like video stuff. Um, they range from $9 to $79, but like there's a ton of stuff that's free. And so if you went and searched for, in my case, Arduino, which is a little board in my class, there's Arduinos, and I can search for. Usually price shows up. Every once in a while, students don't. They do A/B testing on this place, and like sometimes they don't give you the option to find the free classes. But there's a ton of free stuff, right? Free classes. There's hundreds of classes on this particular topic, and little projects and things they can do. So let's say we're going to say go sign up for Udemy. So I come back to my thing. I say sign up for this class. Udemy, and I put a link to it, and it's an external link, and I paste it. Right, and then you come, and then typically what I do, sync to SIS. So Nick, is this something we want to have happen? This sync to SIS? Yeah, it's on the quiz because we don't sync because this is syncing to sync to Infinite Campus and we don't do it. All right. Yeah, I just turned that. I turned that off. Um, and then you can decide to do things with your quizzes, right? Um, you can decide, can they see can they let the students see the incorrect answers will be marked. Uh, yeah, you can let them see their responses, and you want to play around with this. I have a couple videos on like my philosophy on how I set some stuff up where I actually have it so can't they can't see the answers, or I have it set up where they can only see the wrong answers, so they can see the ones they got wrong, but they can't see the right answer. Right? They only know that they got it wrong. Stuff like that. So there's some things you can play around with here to do that. You can also make it like access code. So sometimes you might have a quiz, you might have stuff that you want your students to do and they missed it and they just go do it later and it's asynchronous and it's great. But sometimes you're like, no, this is an in-class test. You have to be here to take it. You can assign a code to it, and that way then when you're in class you go, okay, this is the code, and everybody goes use it, and then you can like change that code after your class has done it, change that code. And then when the students come back, like, I need to take this thing, you go, okay, you tell me when you're ready and I'll give you the code. Right? So you can kind of moderate when someone actually takes the quiz. Right? I don't use this very much, but sometimes there's times where you're like, no, you have to be in class to take this final, whatever. You can shuffle answers. I tend to not do that because that sometimes it gets really weird with some of your quizzes, the way you set them up. I don't shuffle the answers. But here's the place where it'll get it'll assign it to the different categories, and so you'll have to pick this. And when you import stuff, it'll actually be like imported. It won't be assigned to one of these, and you'll need to assign it. So I'll check in with you guys later, a few weeks in, and just make sure that like you see that's not happening. But yeah, so this one I'm going to make this be career readiness, and then I'm gonna. And then you have, and of course that's just setting up the thing. Now there's the question, right? And so now I can go new question, and it's going to be default multiple choice, and it's like, did you sign up? And you can answer yes, and you answer no. And it defaults in these multiple choice to be 4 things. And if you don't clean it up, there'll be like these 2 other things in there that are like not accessible. So I just delete the other 2. So now I just have a yes or no, and you update the question. Now I have like 5 little videos on questions, and some philosophies on that, on things like you have an option to like put a little paragraph on if they get it right, this is what they see, or if they get it wrong, this is what they see. And so you can actually kind of guide them with that stuff. And a lot of times I'll use that for hints on what the right answer might be, but not letting them see the actual right answer, right? You also, at the top here, you can change the point value. It defaults to 1. Depending on my quizzes, questions might be 10 points and the whole quiz might be 100 points or something, but 10 points. Update the question, save. And so now I haven't published this, but it's saved. All right, we're probably running out of time. But now I can see it. I can see it in my quizzes. There's a question there, and uh, and I have the thing there. Now, here's the thing though, right? Here's my module, my class setup, and there's no quiz there. And so what I recommend to you is that you always create your quizzes from your module, because then it'll put it in the module. But right now there's a quiz that's not associated with anything. But what I can do is I can come in here to my module, my class setup, and I click on this little plus sign, and I can go quiz, and it'll actually show me the quizzes that are there. So there's that quiz, and I can add it. I can stick it into my into that module, or I can go create a quiz at this point. Oh, they let you choose classic and new right here as well. So I haven't destroyed my opportunity. I'm gonna have to go look at what that is, because I've never seen that before. That showed up like last week. I don't know. But anyway, so I'm going to select that quiz, and you can indent them. I always indent them one level, add. And so now I've got my module, and I've got this assignment here. All right, that's just barely scratching. Go watch my other 5-6 videos on quizzes to get my ideas on formative and summative quizzes. Quiz banks, super valuable, right? Because this quiz question, this is the last thing I'll talk about. This quiz question, right? If I click on quizzes and then come over here to the 3 little buttons, 3 little things, and manage quiz bank, right? Well, you don't have any quiz banks, but you have one question that's unfiled. That's the one I just created, right? It's interesting. It doesn't give it a name. Oh, yeah, this is the group. This is the quiz bank. And so what you can do here is you can come in and you can say add quiz bank, and you could give it a name of a quiz bank. So, medical terms. I'm going to have to go delete all these things because they're actually going into my class. So now I've got a quiz bank called medical terms, and now I can go in here and I can create questions. So I can just create a bunch of questions here that are all medical term questions, right? And what's nice about this is later you can actually create quizzes where you say, go grab 10 things out of the quiz bank, and it'll go grab 10 questions randomly, right? So you can create quizzes that way. Or you can say, hey, I'm going to create one, and I can go grab 10 of the questions, and I create a quiz. And then I can go grab 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, make another quiz, blah, 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 blah.
So when you ask it to get like 10 questions from the bank, would it be unique quiz for every student, or is it you grab the 10 questions?
Maybe. I mean, so I think it'll create a quiz, and then that quiz is going to be the same for everybody. But like, there's some really cool stuff. I found a creator who actually made it was a binary number translator thing. So generate this thing, and it would you'd say go create 10 questions, and it would randomize every single one of them. And so so one question, I could just put that question in 10 times, and it would be different. I mean, weird stuff. But so we've just barely scratched the surface. Enjoy. Come back, during free time today. I can walk through very specific stuff, right? One of the things I want to figure out this year, because like ChatGPT, I tried some stuff out, and I went, hey, ChatGPT, I've used it to generate just multiple choice questions, right? You get a topic, you put it in some text, you say, hey, generate 5 multiple choice questions based on this text, and generate some questions. But then I asked it, generate the script that lets me insert this question into my quiz bank, or insert this question into a quiz in Canvas. And it created this thing. I'm like, oh, this is right. I mean, there's going to be some like authentication codes and things you have to go back to Canvas and figure out and blah, blah. It's like I'm going to have to dive deep into it. But potentially you can just go generate these questions and and it just goes into Canvas for you. Crazy.
What about grading it?
Grading the question, the quiz.
No,
Oh.
the quiz over, you do it.
How do you know if it's the right answer? No, you tell ChatGPT to give you the answer too, and so then you have the answers. You can have a key.
It's graded, and then what you grade books?
When they do it, I mean, it'll be in Canvas. If it's a multiple choice question, they just get graded, and they're getting in your, yeah, yeah. And that's why I like multiple choice questions, but I also hate them because there's not a lot of learning that goes on with multiple choice questions. I mean, there's value there, right? There's absolutely value there, but like, I don't rely on just multiple choice all the time. But they're the easiest one to grade because they're just graded. So.
Thank you, Jim, for all
All right, but like I said, seriously, I mean, you guys are just gonna get just like overwhelmed with stuff this next week, and suddenly students are here and like, what am I doing? And like, seriously, come back and chat with me about this stuff. I'm happy to help.
So we're on a break for 15 minutes. When I go back to 109, I'll open it up so you can get some more snacks, some food, coffee, and then we're meeting in Mr. Barrett's room right next door at 11. Or I'm sorry, at 10.
And that's a cool room. I wish I could take that class. I want to take the welding class. I want to take the fashion design class. Right? It's like. So for HVAC, I do want to maybe try and figure out, because you guys use like little controllers and stuff. I don't know what, how deep you're going to get into like, the automated controllers.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll touch on like the pneumatics and stuff like that. Components, other sequence, air conditioning, listed, air conditioning. Different voltages.
I've been trying. I go to like all the electronic shows, go to the free expos and stuff like that. And I run into this little thing. I still have like, here's your PLC, and there's things that's like specifically for kind of the HVAC industry. And I'm like,
yeah, so
I want to get 2 of those in my classroom. Like, how do we do that?
It's it's different. We're talking residential, and we're talking commercial, industrial.
Yeah, that's true.
And if you get into the commercial or industrial, that's a whole other ballpark. I mean, I think your classroom is more set up than mine, something like that.
But anyway, so some stuff like that.
Yeah.
Elaborate on
Oh,
stuff
definitely.
like that.
Definitely.
I'm gonna try. There's a conference coming up where I think there'll be some of that stuff, and this time I'm gonna go. This last time I talked to people, and then I never follow up. This time I'm like, I want to do. Because I just want to set up some little lab spaces with some like little controllers and things,
Yeah, I mean,
and then we
definitely trying to create fire-proofing robots. I mean, I got all the gas components. You can get all the circuit boards. It's all good. So, well, the diner, yeah, that'd be pretty fun.
All right. Oh, does anybody know anything about thermal printers? This thing, I just got this. It's super awesome. I can print labels out, but I cannot freaking get a template for doing it. And so now it's like, and seriously, I spent an hour and a half yesterday, like cruising through every single printer. The printer itself doesn't give you a template. It's like, it's just.
What about the paper stocks?
No, and even the printer, the company that sells the roll of print, it's like everybody is fixated on sheets that run through regular print, and I can print stuff, right? I mean, I was able to.
They use label printers somehow. I don't know how to do it. Right?
I can get Mr. Burnham sideways and Mr. Burnham, and then Mr. Burnham, and then tiny Mr. Burnham, and then that one. But then it also prints out 4 more labels. It's like I can't. Seriously, I spent an hour and a half, and
Is it called a thermal what?
it's just a little thermal printer. So apparently, there's stuff you heat against this in it.
kind of like receipt stuff. Like you have receipts that are.
Yeah, kind of like that. Because I'm using it for like, I
Yeah,
just want to have it
labels.
set up to do labels and stuff, and I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna have it sitting here with a little computer science, like, hey, just come do your label. Everybody come do 10 labels.
Actually, I'll look into it. See if I can find it. I have a friend that is really into like technology and stuff. I'll ask him if maybe he knows.
Because right now I've got a Google Doc where I think I've got it like aligned right, and it'll print it like this, but then it'll also, but in there when I go to print, it shows this label and then it shows more, and it like
I see.
puts through, and so it's like,
Yeah.
one. It's like, It's like,
Stuff.
this is the kind of stuff that's like,
Yeah.
seriously. Because even this company, I go to their site for this printer, and then it's like there's a thing for templates, and it's like not for this. It's for
It should.
regular. It's for their regular things.
That came with this, or
This came with it, but I mean, but even this, right? I couldn't.
not you can do it.
I couldn't even do it. It's like, and of course, their instructions say, yeah, and then open this PDF file, which we provided.
Oh yeah.
Not provided.
Yeah.
Not on their website. Not anywhere.
Maybe,
Google doesn't know anything about it. It's just like,
maybe just reaching out to them directly.
you could go to chat line, but
Yeah. And then I think a lot of get-
but I know, but like then I'm gonna have to like not swear at them because man, product deployment. It's like what?
I've spent so much time trying to figure out why Anthony's physical grade HP supplies appears in other people's I cannot do anything to figure differently about it. I have no idea. I'm so lost. I cannot figure it out. Also, in case you know the answer to this, I'm pretty comfortable that I do know the answer to this, but I cannot stand how our terms are like in Canvas, like these big long phrases. We're still fallacies.
None of them fit on anything.
And they're not consistent one year to the next, like really consistent, but then like a little different. Where you can, and on community, it's like, we don't have the prices. It's just a D. You disclaim it. I'm pretty sure it's just a disclaimer. I'm pretty sure we can just call it red.
It's set up that way where you've got a name for the class and you've got a course.
I mean, I know I can read the courses. I mean, I do that. Like, we should go into the grade one, take a lot from that. Nothing that happened. So, kind of just want to do that. What did you?
Oh, that's when I'm not actively thinking about recording. Then I